Yesterday, I gave Bleacher Report a lot of credit. More credit than I normally have ever given them. Because they posted an article about Sam Hubbard, and it actually made logical sense. You know, go ahead and restructure his contract, push money toward the future, add avoidable year, and that will help us out right now, get more money to maybe go sign another free agent for rotation purposes. No big deal. And I sat here and I said, wow, that's logical. And it's kind of reminds me here of the situation with Colin Cowherd. He said something logical recently, and I had to say, hey, listen, this was a logical statement. And then he followed that up after that by saying he'd rather have Justin Herbert or Jared Goff over. Oh, sorry, not Justin Herbert. He'd rather have Jared Goff over Joe Burrow. And then I said, okay, well, now we're back down to reality. Well, Bleacher Report, we are now back down to reality. Shout out to Bleacher Report. The most overrated players at each position entering the 2024 season. Quarterback, Justin Herbert. Now, I have not been that much of a fan of Justin Herbert. I've talked a lot of negative stuff about Justin Herbert, I'll be honest with you. I don't think he's overrated. Here's what I'll say, right? Maybe a tad bit, like a 2 or 3 percentile overrated, but I think it's very close. I think that he gets a lot of hype, and I think he might get a tad bit too much hype. But when you really break down his situation, he does play in the AFC West, which is pretty easy, but he still has to play the Chiefs twice a year, which is not going to be easy. He still has he had a lot of great playmakers throughout his career, but Austin Eckler dealt with injuries, Keenan Allen dealt with injuries. So, and he also had, not the greatest offensive line, which we obviously can feel his pain over here in Cincinnati. So I wouldn't say he's overrated, but I'd say he definitely is more hyped than he probably should be. But it's not like grossly hyped, where once you get to a grossly overhyped, that's when you're overrated. I'd say just a tad bit, not overrated, but a tad bit overhyped. But, okay, I'm not going to argue too much with it, though. I think overall-wise, the guy's played, one playoff game, lost that one playoff game when he was destroying the Jaguars. Jags came back and won. I think that's more on the coaching, if anything, but quarterback, I'm not going to go crazy on this. I think Dak Prescott's overrated. That's who I think is overrated 100%. Dak Prescott is considered to be top 10, but the guy, no, overrated. Running back, Zeke Elliott. See, I don't think, how can you call him overrated? Does anyone think he's still good? I could find more people who doesn't even talk about him / think he's that good more than people who would think he is that good. I know, I don't think he's overrated because I don't think he has any, potential. Did he even play? He didn't play on the team last year, did he? Or did he was a Patriot? So he went from the Cowboys to the Patriots, and now he's back at the Cowboys. I don't think there's even a rating for him. He's very much of a he fell off type of territory. I don't know who sits here and says, oh yeah, Zeke Elliott, I can't believe how much people think he's so good. Nobody thinks he's good. This is kind of a nothing burger. I'm really confused by this one because, again, when's the last time you guys heard someone say, Zeke Elliott, man, I can't believe how good he is? No, that's not a saying that people say because no one thinks he's good. Okay, running back, Stephon Diggs. I agree with this one. And I'm tired of hearing the top 5 argument. Oh, he's the best. Oh, not top 5 argument. He is a top 5 receiver, yes. But I'm tired of hearing the top 3 receiver talk. There's a lot of people who think that this guy is the top 3 receiver. I think he's number 4. Okay, maybe he is number 3. But I still think he's overrated. I don't care. Maybe I just dislike him. I don't know. But I think he's overrated, personally speaking wise. He's also just a diva. That's another thing I have a problem with. I don't even have a problem with Bills fans or Bills in general. It's just this guy. Everyone else in the Bills, I went to bat for Josh Allen many times, saying it's not his fault that, the Bills will lose games. And I will defend Josh Allen to the cows come home. I think he's the third best quarterback in the NFL. I think he's better than Lamar Jackson. I don't care what people say. I think it's Joe, Patrick, and then Josh. But nonetheless, though, I don't think Stephon Diggs is that good. I say that, and then I say I think he's like the third or fourth best receiver. Overrated. Okay, I don't care. It's just he's a diva. Kyle Pitts. Yeah, you can't even put Kyle Pitts on this. This is so stupid. First off, Kyle Pitts is not overrated. Kyle Pitts has dealt with some injuries, 100%. And he was the highest drafted tight end in NFL history. But guess what? Look at his last couple years in the NFL. Number one, he had a quarterback that was very inconsistent, that couldn't get him the ball, and was an absolute mess. Number two, they threw the ball to Jonnu Smith 1,000 more times than Kyle Pitts. Yes, he did deal with injuries, and he wasn't on the field. But even when he was on the field, he wasn't getting targets. For some reason, they wouldn't throw him the ball. They kept throwing it to Jonnu Smith. And then finally now Jonnu Smith is gone, and they have an actual quarterback in Kirk Cousins, and I think he's going to have a breakout year and play amazing. I don't think he's overrated at all. I think this is illogical to say that Kyle Pitts is overrated. The guy has been in the worst situation possible. What do you want him to do? Like, you don't get the ball thrown to you. Okay, you're not going to be that good. The funny thing is, when Kirk Cousins talked to him and said, like, what do you want for number 8? So because Kirk won number 8, he said, just give me targets. It's literally to a point like it's a meme. Just give him targets. Oh, there we go. Orlando Brown is the most overrated offensive lineman. Again, I don't know who runs Bleacher Report. I mean, at this point, there's got to be like a freaking monkey with a tin can running Bleacher Report. Because how can you say he's overrated? Yes, he had a bad season last year. It was the first year on a brand new team and a brand new offense that he had to learn completely in scratch. The rest of the offensive line sucked. The guy next to him on the right-hand side, Cordell Volson, sucked for half the season. And because of that, we were just a mess. Jonah Williams sucks, so the offensive line sucks. The offensive line is a unit. If one part of the offensive line isn't doing good, the rest of the line doesn't do good. It's not just magical. It's not like, oh, well, this guy is so good that he's able to take the job of 5 different players to make sure. No, it doesn't happen like that. If Cordell Volson is a drive-through, then they're going to just go ahead and stack up Cordell Volson's side, and then they're going to stack up, and then Orlando Brown now is going to miss a guy. He also dealt with injuries, which was a problem. It's going to be his second year in a new scheme with a better offensive line this upcoming season. This is just stupid to say that he's, quote-unquote, again, overrated. With all the situations against him, and then now you have a backup quarterback who held the ball too long last year, and Jake Browning, when he first started. He got a lot better throughout the season. But when he first started, he held the ball way too long. And you know what happens when you hold the ball way too long, when you drop back too far? Yeah, that's going to be you get sacked. And that's not on the offensive line, that's on the quarterback. So, I don't agree with this. I think this is stupid. Bleacher Report, what are you doing? Are you just creating like a random generator of names? Like, this is just, okay. Defensive line, Leonard Williams. I'll be honest with you. I don't know enough about Leonard Williams. I know he played for the Giants last year. I know he got a big payday to go to Seattle. He just got signed, actually. I don't know how you could say, in theory, that he is overrated when he hasn't even played for the Seattle Seahawks yet. He hasn't played for the team yet. They do have a new defense coordinator over there in Seattle, Mike McDonald, who was the Baltimore Ravens defense coordinator last season. And I will say under McDonald, I think it's McDonald. McDonald was interesting. So the Ravens had DNPs. Then they went to, what's his name? The Giants defense coordinator who just left. Wink Martindale. And then they went to Mac. Now, McDonald, he he was with the Ravens back in, I think, 2015, 2016. He ended up going to college and being a defense coordinator for Michigan, Jim Harbaugh's team. He was their defense coordinator for 2 years and then came back to the Ravens to become their defense coordinator. So he was very successful in Michigan, perfecting the defensive line of the Michigan team, and he's really good with the Ravens perfecting their defensive line. So I don't really think you can say that he's overrated when Leonard Williams came from a situation that wasn't really that good last year and with a really bad team, and now he's going to a very good defensive mind head coach who's going to be able to take advantage of his skill set. So again, you can't say someone's overrated when they come from a bad situation. Come on. Joey Bosa. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's just older. I mean, see, again, like, this is a guy I don't really think he's overrated because I don't hear much about him to make him overrated. Nobody says that Joey Bosa is a top 5 pass rusher. Nobody says that. They say Nick Bosa. They say Aaron Donald. Obviously, Aaron Donald now retired, but they'll say Aaron Donald is a top 5 guy. Like, Khalil Mack even is in that conversation, I feel like, to a certain point, but Michael Parsons 100%. Like, I don't think many people sit here and really go, even Cam Jordan's up there. I don't think he's overrated. I think that, he's definitely past his prime, but I think that's pretty much that. Devin White. Devin White obviously played his whole entire career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, now just going to the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, like, who says Devin White's the best linebacker in football? Everyone says Fred Warner, Roquan Smith. I think there is a certain degree and a certain testament you could say that even people will rate Patrick Queen over Devin White. I don't think anyone overrates this guy. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he is. He was selected top 5 pick in 2019. Cool. I mean, he still played pretty good with the Buccaneers. He wasn't crazy great, but yeah. Now, Marlon Humphreys. Ooh. I think he is overrated to a certain degree. Here's what I'll say about Marlon Humphreys, right? He has a lot of injury concerns. He gets injured a lot. And that's really his biggest problem, so that's his biggest pet peeve. But when he's on the field, he's a very good tackler. He's a very good coverage guy. He's great in run support overall-wise, and he actually perfects this thing called punching the ball out of players' hands. He is the best at punching the ball out of players' hands in the NFL. Where I think he's overrated is just because of his injuries. And I think people think of him as a top 5 corner, but it's one of those situations where it's like, well, are you a top 5? You can't stay on the field. It's one of those situations. So I think he's still a great player. I don't think he's too overrated. I could see to a certain degree. So I will say maybe out of these 9 players, Stephon Diggs maybe is the only overrated player. That's the only overrated player of all 9 of these. Bleacher Report, you pulled the Colin Cowherd.